Welcome to Unit 2, Lesson 2, Introducing Proportional Relationships with Tables. I want you to take 2 minutes and maybe even 3 minutes to do the warm-up. 2.1, Notice and Wonder for the paper towels by the case. So here's a table that shows how many rolls of paper towels a store receives when they order different numbers of cases. What do you notice about the table? What do you wonder? So pause the video now and take a few minutes to do that. All right, welcome back. So let's look at a few different things. So we're going from row to row, and we go from 1 to 3 to 5. So we're kind of skip counting here. And then we go from 12 to 36 to 60. And then over here, from 60 to 120, it says times 2. And from 5 to 10, it says times 2. So I wonder what that's about. And then for each case, we have 12. So I wonder, 12 times 3, does that give us 36? So there's always 12 times as many paper towel rolls than there are cases. What else did we notice? There are 12 rolls in a case. That's a good thing to notice. What are some things that we wonder about? You might wonder, how much does a case cost? What else? Why would you need 120 rolls of paper towel? I'm not sure. Why would you need 120 rolls of paper towel? So those are some great questions and some great things to notice. Let's move on down to activity 2.2, feeding a crowd. So our recipe says that 2 cups of dry rice will serve 6 people. Complete the table as you answer the questions. Be prepared to explain your reasoning. So I want you to take a moment and see if you can answer these questions. So we have A, how many people will 10 cups of rice serve? And B, how many cups of rice are needed to serve 45 people? All right, welcome back. So we see that 2 cups of rice will feed 6 people. So I wonder how many cups of rice will feed, or how many people 1 cup of rice will feed. So it looks like 3 will feed 9. So we're kind of going up by 1 here, but 3 here. So I think our ratio is going to be a 1 to 10, or 1 to 3. So 1 cup of rice would feed 3 people. So knowing that, we can multiply 10 by 3, and when we do that, we end up with 30. So we know we can feed 30 people. So we can say it will serve 30 people. Now let's look at question B. How many cups of rice are needed to serve 45 people? Well, if we had to multiply up by 3 in order to get the number of people, we're going to have to divide down by 3 to get the number of cups of rice. So 45 divided by 3, I think it's 15, but let's double check our math. So 45 and 3. 3 goes in once. we're going to minus 3, have 1. We're going to bring down this 5. 3 goes into 15 5 times, and that'll zero out. So I think we'll be able to have 15 cups of rice in order to feed 45 people. So we will need 15 cups of rice to feed 45 people. All right, let's turn the page now from page 87 over to page 88. And at the top, it's going to continue. It says number 2, a recipe says that 6 spring rolls will serve 3 people. Complete the table. So I wonder, 3 to 6. So that would be about 2 spring rolls a person, right? Okay, so then we can kind of take our numbers in the first row, or the first column, and divide those by 2, because 6 divided by 3 is 2, so each person gets 2. So if we do 30 divided by 2, we would have 15, right? Let's see, 30 and 2, 2 goes into 3 once, subtract, that gives us 1, bring down the 0, we have 10, 2 goes into 10 5 times, so yeah, it would be 15. 15 people. Now we've got to figure out 40 divided by 2. Well, we can think 4 divided by 2 is 2, and if we add our 0, we can feed 20 people. Uh-oh, now we've got to reverse it. Instead of dividing, we're going to have to multiply this up, because we're going to feed 28 people, so we need to figure out 28 times 2 is how much. So 28 times 2, 2 times 8 is 16, bring down the 6, carry the 1. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. So we need 56 spring rolls to feed 28 people. All right, let's look down here at activity 2.3, making bread dough. A bakery uses 8 tablespoons of honey for every 10 cups of flour to make bread dough. Some days they bake bigger batches and some days they bake smaller batches, but they always use the same ratio of honey to flour. Complete the table as you answer the questions and be prepared to explain your reasoning. So I want you to take a few minutes and answer questions 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then check back in to see if your answers were correct. Pause the video now. Welcome back. All right, so number 1 says, how many cups of flour do they use with 20 tablespoons of honey? Well, we know for 8 tablespoons, they use 10 cups of flour. So I wonder, how can we figure out our ratio here? What do we need to do to figure out our ratio? Well, we could divide these by 2, right? Because they're both even numbers, so they can be divisible by 2. So half of 8 is 4, and half of 10 is 5. So we know we can have 4 to 5. That might help us. So 4 times what gets us 20? That's right, 4 times 5 is 20. So now we need to do 5 times 5, and that's going to give us 25. Next we have how many cups of flour do they use with 20 tablespoons of honey? So they're going to need 25 cups of flour for 20 tablespoons of honey. So 25 cups of flour for 20 tablespoons of honey. All right, number 2. How many cups of flour do they use with 13 cups of honey? 13 is not really a multiple of 4. So that's a little bit tricky. All right, so number 2, again, how many cups of flour do they use with 13 tablespoons of honey? So this isn't exactly evenly divisible by 4, so we're going to have to divide this ourselves on the side. So let's go over here. Our 13 goes on the inside, 4 on the outside. 4 goes into 13 3 times. And that's going to give us 12. We're subtracting. We're going to end up with 1, add a 0. 4 goes into 10 about 2 times, which gives us 8. We subtract, we end up with 2. Bring down another 0. 4 goes into 20 5 times. So we know this is going to end up zeroing out. So this is about 3.5 times larger. So now we're going to have to do 5 times 3.5, or 3 1/4, my bad. So 3.25 times 5. 5 times 5 is 25. Carry the 2. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 2 is 12. Carry that. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 1 is 16. We've got to bring our decimal down, so it's going to be 16 1/4 cups of flour. So we can say we need 16.25 or 16 1/4 cups of flour for 13 tablespoons of honey. All right, number 3. How many tablespoons of honey do they use with 20 cups of flour? That's a really good question. How many tablespoons of honey do they use with 20 cups of flour? So let's figure out. If we know they need 5 cups of flour for every 4 tablespoons, we can divide 20 by 5. And 20 divided by 5 we know is going to be 4. So 4 times 4 is going to give us 16. So we will need 16 tablespoons of honey for 20 cups of flour. And then this is a new vocabulary word. So number 4 is, what is the proportional relationship represented by this table? So we're talking about the relationship between honey and flour. So what do you think the proportional relationship might be between honey and flour? So we could say the relationship between the number of tablespoons of honey and the number of cups of flour is proportional because it's going up by a consistent amount. It's not changing each time. So we could say the amount of honey is proportional to the amount of flour. All right, now we're going to turn the page to page 88, or from 88 to 89. We have a couple more questions that we're going to answer. So now we're looking at the relationships of quarters and dimes. So quarters to dimes. So it says 4 quarters are equal in value to 10 dimes. So think about 10 dimes, what's that equal? Yeah, it equals a whole dollar. And what about 4 quarters? Yeah, that's also equal to $1. So technically, we're looking at $1 equal to $1 for 4 quarters to 10 dimes. So as you're answering these questions, I want you to think about that. These are going to be pretty equal in value. So number 1 says, how many dimes equal the value of 6 quarters? How many dimes equal the value of 14 quarters? And number 3, what value belongs to the next one in the table? Or next to the one in the table, and what does it mean in this context? So I want you to take a moment and answer these 3 questions. Pause the video now and join me back. All right, welcome back. So let's think about this. So if we have 6 quarters, how much money do we have? So if 4 quarters are equal to $1, 2 quarters are equal to 50 cents. So if we know $1 takes 10 dimes, how many dimes does it take for 50 cents? Yeah, it's going to take 5 dimes. So if we do 10 plus 5, we're going to need 15. And what about 14 dimes? I wonder how many dollars would we have? Let's divide this by 4. So we have 14. Let's divide that by 4. 4 goes into 14 3 times. All right, so that would give us 12. Subtract, we have 2, bring down a 0. So we would have about $3.50. So $3.50. And each dollar is going to need 10 dimes. So 10 times 3 is going to give us 30. And then we need how many dimes to get 50 cents? Yeah, 5 dimes. So what's 30 plus 5? Yeah, we're going to need 35 dimes. Oops, I forgot to go back and answer my questions over here. So how many dimes equal the value of 6 quarters? So 15 dimes equals 6 quarters. And then we already answered question 2. How many dimes equal the value of 14 quarters? So it takes 35 dimes to equal 14 quarters. And then this last question is a little tricky. So what value belongs next to the one in the table? And what does it mean in this context? So we have one quarter, and 1 quarter is 25 cents. If a dime equals 10 cents, how many dimes would fit into a quarter? Well, let's think about this. We need 2 dimes to make 20 cents, right? And then how many dimes would it take to make another 5 cents? Let's do some division over here. So our value is 25 and 10. So 10 goes into 25 2 times. We have 20, subtract, we're left over with 5. We're going to have to bring down a 0. 10 goes into 55 times. So it looks like it's going to take 2.5 dimes. So 2.5 dimes means that 2.5 dimes are worth the same amount as a single quarter. So 2.5 dimes equals the same amount as a quarter. All right, and just like last time, if you turn over to page 90, you're going to have a summary of this lesson and what we went over. You're going to complete homework on pages 91 and 92, and you're also going to complete the lesson 2 cool down. I will see you next time for lesson 3.